All right. Hello and welcome to Theology on Tap. A lot of stuff going on in 2020. Started out with the virus, became a pandemic. I mean, thankfully, it's not as bad as we initially thought it was going to be. The percentage of deaths keep going down, so that's good news. So there's bright side of this stuff that's going on. But then there was that police brutality. Black Lives Matter started protesting. Then it got violent. Antifa got involved. And in cities like Portland, the riot's been going on for 80 days now. Crazy. 80 days straight. And you kind of wonder, why don't you just stop them? They're clearly breaking the law. Anyway, and it seems like the second round of riots is going to happen soon too, or it has already started. And then there's all that flooding going on in China, which is devastating a lot of people. Explosion in Damascus. I don't know. There are other explosions that happen around the world. Locusts destroying crop. So it seems like, as a lot of people have pointed out, God's judgment is coming. And I don't know if it's like God's judgment in the sense that this is the end of the world. Well, I guess there's an asteroid coming to hit the United States as well, or somewhere in the world. Maybe it is the end of the world, but I don't think it is the end of the world. I don't think, God's going to send Jesus and bring him back to the world to destroy. I think he will come to restore maybe, But I do have to say, it does seem like God is upset. All right? God is upset. And if it is God that is upset and it is bringing these things to happen, allowing it to happen, then what can we do? Well, we got to fix our own problems, right? We got to fix our problems. But how do we do that? So when it comes to Black Lives Matter and Antifa stuff, I mean, I'm not black, I'm Asian American, so I can't really say and point out what they need to do or anything. But whatever it is they tried to do for the last, since I guess Martin Luther King Jr., it hasn't really helped. Right? It really seems like nothing's gotten better. In fact, I've been to the United States since the 70s. It kind of seems like it's gotten worse. So how do we fix it? How do we stop God from allowing the world to go down, go down the toilet? How do we stop that? Well, Bible has a hint, gives us a hint, right? Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us, right? Because if you think about it, when Jesus was preaching on earth, he talked about the kingdom of heaven, kingdom of God. That's the subject that he mostly talked about. Then the second is forgiveness. There's another part in the Bible that actually says, if we were to forgive others, then God will forgive us. So maybe God is allowing humans to just kind of destroy one another. Maybe it's a form of a punishment or anything like that, because he's just waiting for us to forgive one another so that God could forgive us. I mean, to me, that seems to be the answer. So we need to do that, forgive. And what does it mean to forgive? Is to pardon, free, untie, right? The sins of other people. Now, I'm not saying if somebody breaks the law that he shouldn't go to jail or be punished. We should, but we need to forgive that person so we no longer allow that person, whatever he did, to affect us in a way that it brings more trouble into the world. Violence begets violence. Love begets love, right? And this violence that's going on in the country is going to create a lot more violence. Right? We start out with Black Lives Matter, and then the police started getting hurt and killed. Then there's Blue Lives Matter, and then there's All Lives Matter. Sooner or later, some Asian's going to come out and say Asian Lives Matter. We're building dividing walls. So how do we get rid of the dividing walls? Exactly what Jesus did, is to forgive. When he was dying on the cross, he said, forgive them for they do not know what they're doing. And there's a lot of people who are getting violent and doing things in the past and even to present. I don't know what they know what they're doing. Right? Well, so when it comes to the things that happened hundreds of years ago, or 50 years ago, 60 years ago, and that is still alive today, it affects us, because it's in our mind. It's not that we forget history, but we need to forgive our history. It's not to forget, but to forgive. I mean, it'd be great if we could forget as well, right? I think somebody said this before. It takes, what is it? It takes, I wrote it down. It takes a big heart to forgive. It takes a bigger heart to forget. But it takes a pure heart, right, to accept what others do and forgive. And obviously, Jesus had a pure heart. That is the thing we got to do. Forgive one another. Why is it that we still allow ourselves to be affected by the things that happened in the past to a point where we're still angry? We still want to punish other people for it? And like I say, I wasn't born in this country, and I'm not African American, so I don't know exactly what they've gone through. As much as I try to understand it. But I do know that Martin Luther King Jr. was my first hero when I first came to the United States. But I grew up in South Korea, where it was not that long after the war has ended. And I remember learning a lot about, maybe it was propaganda, but I learned a lot about what happened. North Koreans attacked. Communism wanted to take over, and South Koreans didn't want that. So there was war. So it was more like United States versus Soviet Union still going on. In Korea, they used their country for a war, I guess. But it's something that needed to, I don't know if it was needed to be done, but something that happened, right? I mean, it all happened because of the Japanese occupation of Korea. So we could blame the Japanese for it all. And I do know when I was growing up that there were a lot of hatred toward the Japanese, and I heard all that kind of stuff too. But at the same time, Jesus told us to forgive. So it would be kind of like for me today, looking at a Japanese person and hating that person for what their ancestors have done in the past. Doesn't make that much sense to me, But, or to say North Koreans, if I were to ever meet a North Korean, would I be upset? Or would I accept the fact that, hey, they didn't know what they were doing, right? That's very important. There's a reason why Jesus talked about forgiveness the most. There's a reason why we're allowing ourselves to build dividing walls. It's because we have forgotten the Lord's Prayer. Forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. If we forgive others, God would forgive us as well. So that seems to be the answer, right? So yeah, there is a lot of inequality that's going on. But just like in nature, if we allow God and to just do his thing, right? Let it evolve naturally, because it will, right? Let's not get in the way. Love is a powerful thing, and we could spread love. And we could do that by forgiving one another of the trespasses. That could fix a lot of things. Then maybe then God could look down upon this earth and said, all right, time to go back. Restore the kingdom of heaven on earth. Or something like that. All right. So, go back to God. Insist in the Lord. I really like that in the book of Ephesians, right? Insist on the Lord. And keep your heart pure rather than listening to all this hatred words that are out there. Especially because of the election that's going to happen in November. So much pointing fingers and stuff, right? We could have our opinions, but let's accept others' opinion as well. And forgive. And untie yourself from the past so that it won't affect us in a negative way today. Go with Jesus Christ. Forgive one another. Let's receive God's forgiveness. Simple, isn't it? May the Lord bless you, and the Spirit of God encourages you into that path of righteousness as we love and to forgive and live that life in the path of righteousness. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.